certainly is. Let's see whether they can go back-to-back on blue and red side, grab themselves that 2-0. If there's any performance that can make you feel like that is a likely scenario, it is absolutely game number one's performance. But Hama Life Esports, they can mix things up. They can change their direction, and we'll see whether they do exactly that. As TWon, let's see whether the ban priority list does change. They banned Karma, Tom Kench, and Renekton last time around. This time, they'll start with the Renekton.
Yep. See, the Gwen is removed. Hana's not going to be allowed to play that one this time. And the onus should be on T1 if they're going to ban the Ezreal, if they want to take that away from Hana Life Esports themselves. I think you'd be very happy to allow Def to play Kog'Maw again based on, again, the results of this year, even though he's been historically very strong on the champion throughout the last decade.
Yeah, there's going to be a few things that they'll need to keep their eye on. With this Gwen now occupying one of the ban slots, Lulu now as well, occupying a slot that wouldn't necessarily be one of those.
Varus, another strong option here.
Yeah. Rumble, Nocturne.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many flex picks. Lee Sin is also another one. I think the one I'm most scared of out of that list is Varus, to be honest. I think that's the one that you take away here as T1 right now against Deft. It's a scary pick.
I think you're happy to play Ezreal into it again, though, right? Like, because Varus does like to build the lethality, and then you can just answer that with a bunch of armor, I guess.
I was going to say, if you leave the Varus and then you play the Ezreal into it, you can also Ezreal Karma, but they banned the Karma, in fact. So now Hana Life Esports have to choose between the Lee Sin, the Nocturne, and that very powerful Varus pick we were talking about. I mean, I felt like Varus was going to be permanently banned throughout this entire week, and already we're seeing him left open. And Hana Life going to pick the Rumble themselves. I mean, POG went to Cuz last game. See if that happens again here. Johan's hoping, fingers crossed.
And remember, the Jace was actually banned last time around. This has been one of those traps that we've fallen into quite a lot. If you remember back to MSI, the old Rumble Jace combo. Liv Sandbox also fell into it earlier on. Didn't really work out. Of course, Snowball's very, very hard if you have both of the champions. However, if you don't manage to find those leads, it can be a little bit more dangerous, as Cuz potentially back to an old favorite. This is one for either Faker or Canna as well, if they would like to. Love the flexibility shown by both teams so far, as now Cuz to see what he wants to lock away. And I think when you do have so many flex picks available, that's why a lot of these blue sides become so much more coveted, right? Because you do get to hide what you want to do until extraordinarily late, given the fact that you can switch things around.
Senna here over the Ezreal, over the Varus, will be locked in. She's been changed a lot, but still does very well, and she's still very strong in the AD carry position.
Do you just lock in Varus, Tom Kench now?
I mean, you certainly can. You can also Varus Thresh here. I mean, Thresh being open at this stage is something we've seen a lot of regions not allow.
Oh, I love that, though. I love that. Nocturne going to be taken away here. The synergy with being able to place down the Equalizer and then immediately Nocturne yourself on top of it. Plus, the 2015 Wombo combo of Chains of Corruption and Equalizer. Definitely fantastic things. That being said, not going to be able to deny the Tom Kench.
Yep.
The carrier should be able to grab for himself. And actually, one of Carrier's best champions last season. I know he had a lot of them, but one of his best was, in fact, Tom Kench, weirdly enough.
Yep, Tom Kench going to be picked up here. A lot of safety for the Senna now on the bottom side of the map. The Lee Sin feels like it ends up being a strong pick here in the top lane. If you do end up picking Gnar as Hana Life Esports, you can, of course, flex it into the jungle or the mid lane and grab the Jace. So let's see where Hana Life wants to take the rest of their composition, because right now you still have that same sort of long range engage. And in fact, the Varus more than the Ezreal gives you even more poke to actually finish off those targets. Interesting ban here. But I wonder now where Hana Life is going to take the rest of their team fighting. Are they going to go into trying to go for something like the Gnar I was talking about? Or are they going to try to push further into side lane control? Do they want to split pusher? Because that's really the last thing that we need to figure out here for Hana Life Esports, because we know where T1 is going with their comp with the Senna pick. You don't leave yourself that many options. You're kind of going for the later part of the game. You're looking for that scaling, you're looking for the range that she provides. And T1... I mean, I wouldn't hate the Gnar ban here, even though you don't know what Hana Life have planned exactly. And the Zillion.
Wait.
This is some scrim data leaking through.
I think so too. And of course, could be all just supports wanting to ban away Enchanter support options here to stop the Varus from having a really oppressive lane into the center. Tahm Kench could be what their mind's at, or they're thinking about something else entirely and wanting to deny certain options against a pick for Faker in that mid lane.
Yeah.
I've got this like weird thought of a Seraphine in my mind.
That was exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Seraphine myself in terms of potential to help the snowball lane if that's what you're looking for. Give me the Zed, please. I was joking about it earlier, but didn't think I'd be so lucky.
Ooh, this is another champion that has been slipping through, that hasn't been slipping through drafts. Of course, was banned in every other game that we've had so far. First round in our first series tonight, both times.
I think this means that Lee Sin is probably going to end up being jungle here. Yeah, because set support is so difficult to pull off. We already have the Tahm Kench, so it's just not going to be. It's not going to happen. You don't have Hex Flash that's disabled today.
Wait, I got a crazy idea.
Tahm Kench solo lane?
No. I'm thinking a possible Karthus.
Karthus?
I mean, if Cuz plays Karthus here, right? You've got all AD outside of the Karthus. You're feeling pretty good about it. He can theoretically farm us somewhat as quickly as Rumble can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it.
It's a possibility.
We have seen it played.
Might not be a good one.
Zoe going to be a lot more long range. I mean, this composition has so much poke. I mean, you can poke with Varus from far away. The range is great from Rumble's Equalizer. You have Nocturne who can engage from a very, very far away distance. And, okay, final pick here. Are they going to go down the split push path? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to play this. You could Twisted Fate here. No way are they actually going to do it. I feel like Dane just gave the thumbs up, so it's definitely possible.
Oh my god.
This just feels like a tease.
So ready. Okay, no, instead it's going to be likely to be Cuz on this Diana. We saw Diana actually considered a couple of times in our opening series of the evening. Of course, wasn't really up to snuff. We saw Canyon play it once at MSI, but she wasn't really cream of the crop. And now with Morgana taking a bit of a beating, changes to the jungle as well, requiring a little bit less epic speed in clearing things out.
So Faker is going to be on the set, the Zoe. We've seen this matchup before. It's not absolutely crazy for the set to end up being stable here as long as he plays it well, which, that's the name of the game for Faker. As I say it, never mind. Even the Korean casters had a little giggle, had a little laugh at this one. It will be swapped at the last possible moment here. So, not to be the case, actually. It's going to be a more favorable matchup into the Nocturne at the top.
Yeah, going to be that wait all the way until that 20-second mark, which is where you have to confirm all of your picks, of course.
This is pretty nuts, actually, what we're seeing between these two teams. And this meta is so hard to figure out until last possible second. I mean, even in these drafts where we have everything locked in, it's not until the literally last lock-in second that these things are finalized. And, the Varus pick is what's scariest to me, but it pairs well with the Zoe poke, the Equalizer. The getting to that later part of the game and getting Teddy really online here and getting that range up is going to be a lot harder against this amount of range, around this amount of poke and the engage potential they have with the Nocturne. Like, I really like Life Esports' draft, to be honest.
The thing that I find really interesting is I actually kind of like the set matchup into Zoe better than the Lee Sin matchup into Zoe. We'll just have to see how this one's going to go. Maybe we'll have some solo lane shenanigans on the T1 side. It could certainly be a possibility.
Faker just wants 68, so
I think he's hasn't he already played Lee Sin? I think he might have.
I actually don't know,
because there was a brief moment in time where Lee Sin mid lane was just completely broken, and it might have been a thing that he'd done.
Yeah,
but I don't really know. Maybe it is going to be 68. I'm sure we'll get the graphic.
Yeah, if it is. If it isn't, then we won't, and we'll know. I think. This is pretty nuts. So, Diana Jungle, is this the first time in LCK? I think it might be.
Yeah, outside of MSI, of course, there were whispers of, Diana making her way in, and of course, with the amount of patches that had come through, and we know all of the post-MSI LCK that's happened, Wolf. We've casted all 3 games.
It's crazy to think, what Facebreaker plus Diana's ult can actually do in a team fight.
Yeah, it's a lot of grouping everyone up together to get wailed on by Teddy.
But it's going to be so hard to actually get into to actually get into a position where you can face breaker this team that has so much range. Obviously, the Leona and the Nocturne are going to be the ones that are coming into you, make it a lot easier to pull that off. So Cuz is going to have to be flanking. A lot of this game is going to be decided. A lot of these late game team fights, if we get there, are going to be decided by vision, I think, and knowing where those flank angles are going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the matchup between the 80 carries you want to see, right? Into some top tier 80 carries, right? The Senna and the Varus,
I'm interested to see what Teddy's going to do, because if we remember back, Teddy was an absolutely amazing center player. It was him and Deft that were sort of leading the charge when it came to, really dominant center performances. But Deft has always been a lethality Varus beast.
Yeah.
And he has taken Hail of Blades, but of course, guys, it's likely that he's still just going to be heading towards the lethality vibe as level 2 gained by Harmolife Esports first. It's what we've been seeing globally, and it just feels like on-hit Varus is fallen off to the wayside.
Yeah, Hail of Blades is great early. I mean, he's going to be very happy with it. So this matchup, like you said, between Faker and Chovy and Zoe is
There it is.
Told you.
I thought maybe he would have played it. It's like, when you've got Faker who's been playing since 2013, right? It's just been so, it's such an extraordinarily large amount of time that you have to remember all of the things that could have potentially been in meta.
I mean, look at this. The last time it was played mid was KT's Ryu beating I Am Mid King, okay? 2013.
Well, Deft is taken down to about 200 health as Teddy's going to get devoured. Vista denied a lot of his engage as Piercing Darkness over Deft. Not exactly what he wants to be dealing with right now. Doesn't quite find enough follow-up damage to really make any of that worth it, but still able to shove out the wave.
I don't want to say Faker is struggling, but obviously this is going to be a favorable matchup for the ranged Zoe, and is definitely helping to push the wave, is harassing quite successfully here.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like Faker made a sacrifice to give Canna an even better matchup towards the top side.
I mean, if you're going to have one player who struggles a little bit, I think you'd probably rather that be the Faker, right? In almost every case.
Yeah.
Especially in the mid matchup, you feel pretty good about that. Actually, not the first time.
Yeah. The last time was, in fact, Cuz, who lost against Clid. Interesting. It was, of course, against Clid's very famous Jungle Jarvan, which he's been one of his key picks for a really long time. Cuz once again lying in wait. This time just waiting to lock down Morgan. Okay, that's going to be Facebreaker, and I think he's just dead. No opportunity to even flash out of that one, as Cuz is going to be able to lock down first blood. Solo kill possibly for Chovy. Takes the turret shot against the flash.
So really nice flash timing there from Faker. Last possible second, gets away. So it's a success, but it's not as big as a success as the top lane gank ended up being.
Oh no.
And look at this. Johan's down here, but Carrie and Teddy are just still sitting pretty in the bot side of the map. 2v3, okay, spending more time here.
Okay, wow, this is actually still just going to decide to go in. Teddy burning down with the Ignite. Carrier now trying to walk away. Still has Flash available, though. The stun comes in as Canna gets the two-man Facebreaker. It feels like the teleports are just perfectly unlocked for T1 this series.
Oh, no.
And they're looking for even more. The stun's going to come in. They even had a ward there in preparation as Teddy locks down a kill for himself as well. It has all fallen apart for Harmolife.
You don't have to brute force. It feels bad to lose out, in the 2v1 on the top side of the map. You didn't see Cuz. You end up losing your top laner. You don't get the kill on the Faker, so you feel like you've got to do something. We're on the bottom side of the map. We've got Prio. Let's try to force this down. It's Johan on the Rumble. Can maybe get that flamethrower to do enough damage, but you commit that hard, you find yourself teleport flanked. As you can see, Cuz plays in window mode here. Yeah. And, this is really easy. The stun is there, the follow-up base breaker. Boom. And, there's just so much CC, you're dead there. But look at this, he stays so long, he's begging for someone to flank teleport. They're like, oh, is he really staying? Okay, he's really, really staying. We're going to trade a bunch of damage back. And then Kana shows up.
And that ward as well, the position on that ward. Harmolife Esports had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
Vista was flashing underneath the turret while Canna was walking at them, and not even while it was channeling.
And this is a composition that has so much CC too that, you end up getting the Facebreaker, then you get Lickitung, and, you're not getting out. It's a 3 kills to 0 lead here at, just over 5 minutes into the game when that happened. And T1 are now sitting on a fantastic lead. A kill and 2 assists for Kana in the top lane. Faker survives that mid push. And There's just nothing going right for Life Esports, unfortunately, at this stage.
Yeah, it's not really working. However, Life's comp is very different to what they had in game number 1. It's a composition that does do very well around the mid-game. Last time they had not a lot of agency in any lane outside of just can Cogmore kill anyone? And now they've got damage from basically everywhere outside of Vista. So they're going to try and see what they can do here with a lot more of a damage profile. However, they're just losing here on the bottom side of the map. Cuz moving himself towards this bottom lane.
They cleared vision. They know there's no vision. Cuz it's still not been seen. Okay, it is now.
Definitely now, yep. As he dives on forward, and I just don't know whether it's going to be enough. Moonfall comes down, and I think Vista is just dead. The flash on forward. Death is going to flash to answer. And Cuz looks like he knew that he wasn't going to be able to take enough turret shots. That's a nice sidestep. And Vista just continuing to walk the same direction as that particular Duke. Liked it a lot. Depth still walking on forward now, but they are able to take down this Leona. Equalizer clears out the minions, but isn't able to grab the kills. That was a cute little flash over, but it's just not going to be able to be enough.
Feels like Life Esports are just one step behind, you know, in terms of what they're able to accomplish map-wise here. They're trying to match these rotations. They're trying to punish the same way TWon did just moments ago, and they're unsuccessful in doing so.
Yeah.
This could have been worse for Life Esports, but they commit the rumble to follow up, the flash forward, and that's just painful. As we'll watch this one more time. See, it's actually really well handled by Life. Like, Vista gets the stun here, walks back under the bottom side of the turret. Cuz doesn't have enough damage to actually execute, has the follow flash. Vista has a wave here coming, so he actually is able to stay here for so long, survive. So Johan's like, okay, I'm coming. I've already rotated all the way down here. I'm going to drop the equalizer. Does not hit Cuz, only hits Teddy and Vista.
He was just aiming for the minion wave, but like Vista had already died, so maybe you try and go for a kill instead, and then maybe that flash that he had afterwards means something. However, if that doesn't happen, the flash is completely unnecessary.
I mean, you already, like, Vista doesn't have flash, Depth has used his flash, so you don't gain that much from taking Teddy's away.
This is somewhat bold from T1 as, okay, Repel's down very, very low. Johan does secure it, but there's the kickback. Faker making the plays as Leona, the first one to go down. Morgan diving into the backline. The equalizer is good, but it's too late. It's a double kill for the man in the mid lane. And Deft is able to lock one down at the back, but it's not going to be enough. T1 lose the Herald, but it's a 3-1 when it comes to the team fight.
A fantastic trade for them. They will absolutely be happy with this. And now they've got full map control. The whole map belongs to them. And Life Esports are getting a little bit back every time, but it's starting to really stack against them at this stage.
And you know something that I've been saying a lot? You know, the older you get, the more refined your mechanics get, Wolf.
I mean,
that's, I think, what everyone says. Because look at this from Faker, just really beautifully played.
I mean, Cuz handles this super well, too. And the Nocturne ult from Morgan is just so late. I feel like if you bring that in earlier, at least even if you hold it, you eliminate a lot of the vision. It's much more difficult for T1 to execute this, but he ults so late, I think because he's scared of engaging here. And, you know, it's just unfortunately him just coming to his death, right? Doesn't end up amounting to anything. Doesn't defend anything, doesn't peel for anything. And a little bit of hesitation here. And T1, they do not hesitate. They are executing every part of this draft that they've built so well. And the Diana pick just seems to be like the cherry on top with this. He's so mobile, so much hard engage potential. In these skirmishes, T1's composition will crush, but later, they've got the Senna scaling, so...
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. And I just really like the fact that Cuz can be a legitimate carry this game as well, because he is the one doing magic damage. Nobody else is, right? And so you're not really going to be building that much magic resist against a comp like this in your lane. And it's hard to justify building for the jungle. And so Cuz is going to be having a pretty good time there, as it is going to be Mountain Drake taken first. It's going to be our first game that isn't a Mountain Soul. How incredibly exciting. Not going to be a Cloud Soul either. So looking forward to whether it's a Ocean or a Infernal.
Infernal would be, you know, if Life Esports can hang on and turn this game around, it would be pretty awesome for them.
Oh yeah, that's the dream.
That's the dream, but... I don't know if that dream will come true or be realized here. As T1 just have such great control over this game, over the map, and with Teddy being this fed, like, he's not a weak link, he's not someone who's vulnerable. You can't try to look for those picks anymore. You try to commit in, you're actually just going to die. Yeah. Those Chains of Corruptions hit, that's Vista probably dead. or death if he tries to trade back. Okay, Johan spotted by this ward, and T1, you can't find any holes, you can't find any cracks today.
And they just know everything, right? Because all of the vision is there. Look at that cheeky control ward down the bottom side.
Meanwhile,
is making his way in. Okay, flashes out of the way. Not sure whether it's going to be enough. At least the Dawning Shadow misses. Can Morgan find the kill? The answer is absolutely not. Cuz says calculated as he walks away.
Oh, just right outside of range there, and this is starting to go from bad to worse. 8 kills to 1 right now. Hanolife Esports just cannot catch a break. You look for the commitment bottom lane, you're spotted on a ward, you get nothing on the top side of the map. Cuz makes the exact same play, but you don't have that ward, you don't have control of the lane, and you end up dying. It's almost a trade, even though you play it perfectly, but it's not good enough. And Alcana's going to get a turret first of the game, a lot of extra bonus gold over to T1, and it just feels like the floodgates have opened.
Yeah, it just feels like Hanolife Esports are scrambling right now, right? Yes, Chobi's ahead in farm. But that's about all you can really talk about, and even then, it's a 2-0-1 Faker on this Lee Sin. He's still going to be ahead in gold.
Ah, yes, the losing a Hanolife Esports term, or the sentence, like, yep, Chobi's ahead in CS, but...
That's exactly how it is, but the fact that he's ahead in CS means that he hasn't been able to offer anything more. He also has Ignite in this lane, as well as the bubble is going to land. The Q is going to be there in response, and Faker with the Merc Treads just feels completely at ease in that lane.
When he got slept, but the minions were there for him. And he's going to get slept again, but Teddy's here, so...
I mean, maybe it's the perfect time for a nap.
Yeah.
You know, as the exhaust comes down, they're committing onto Johan, who flashes at the last second. I like that one. Solar Flare. Vista going to flash as well. And there is a Rift Herald making her way down the bottom side of the map. We'll see whether she can actually get towards the charge. The Equalize is good. The Devour's even better, though, as Carrier spits Teddy out. He flashes. The Ignite ticks down and isn't going to be enough. And the double flashes will get T1 to safety. Chobi bounces up. How did that... That was ridiculous, and I have no idea how that one missed. As there it is, finally. A kill does go down. As the Abyssal Voyage will get the rest of them to safety, and Shelly will get a charge. There is at least that.
Okay, they were able to turn this off, but T1 almost not only prevented Shelly from getting a charge, but also almost got out with all of their lives while Faker crashed waves into turret. But they don't get away with everything there. That was like
that's
getting
still
paid.
Varus having to flash, right?
Yeah.
And so now, theoretically, if Deft is ever out of position, silver platter for T1. That's actually huge.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, this next Drake fight is now, it should be super easy for them to pull off. As we watch this one more time, everybody's got flash advantage, so even though this ends up going poorly for T1, they're able to retreat against the wall. This was a very desperate attempt to try to get value out of that Rift Herald from so long ago. The sleep is actually massive here because it allows the Equalizer to connect, but they're still able to get over the wall here. Look at that, Teddy with almost no health. Everybody else just follow flashing. And then without vision, they are able to pull this off. Def does. I believe he has no vision of this. He does hit it.
Yeah.
No, actually he did. Well aimed, and this ended up being a charge that goes through, but it's not enough to turn this game around just yet. Like, they need more of these moments, and that took everything they had.
Oh dear. Carrier in a whole host of trouble. Hanolife Esports have resorted to setting up gank brushes, and that is going to be catfish for dinner served up. So at least there's that. The answer for T1 is taking down an outer turret on the top side of the map and continuing to put pressure on everywhere. There's the play from Faker looking for Chobi, but trolled by minions just a little bit, and the flash does have to eventually come out. Not the kill onto the mid laner of Hanolife Esports.
They get the top turret, though, and they're looking for the mid one as well. I mean, you rotate that many players down to get a single kill onto Carrier, but there will be consequences on the map. You're going to lose top turret, you're going to lose mid turret. You almost lost your mid laner. He was able to get away, but he has to flash, and all of these things add up and stack up right before this second Drake comes online here for T1 to snowball this lead even further. It's the worst timing possible. They're even going to try to sneak this Rift Herald in, and they might get away with it. It's going to be close.
Yeah, they should be able to grab this. Def making his way back from base. Rumbles on the bottom side of the map. No smite available.
Yeah, Johan can't get in there. He doesn't have smite, as you say, and there's no one else near him, so it's not like they can trade this 1-for-1. And T1 get away with it, like you said, for free. And they're not even just going to stop there. They're not going to go, okay, we'll just go take the Drake now. They're looking for even more opportunities on the map.
Yep, Canna just running towards Chobi. is going to be Divine Sunderer completed here for Teddy, the new iteration of the Senna, just because Divine Sunderer is... You just build it on whoever can potentially build it.
Yeah.
Right?
You just always do. That's the way it is now.
It's just some good stuff. I like it. I've always been a fan of the Divine Sunderer personally, so I'm happy that it's found its way in. Okay. Cloud Drake down to about half health here, but Harmon Life Esports in position to try and fight it. Chovy only just getting his way over as there's the paranoia. Solar Flare finds absolutely no joy whatsoever, but it's a good equalizer as Morgan dives into the backline. Everyone going golden where they can. The kickback from Faker was fantastic, and the Varus is taken. Double kill for Teddy as he cleans up the bottom lane. It is an Infernal Soul, but I don't think that's the most important part because Johan, he's running for his life on the wrong side of the map. And it feels like TWon have already got this one tied up.
It feels like it, man. 11 kills to 4. And in this fight, you know, at the beginning of it, you see Morgan ult onto Teddy, but he gets devoured as well as soon as the combo is completed and almost all of the damage comes through. He gets devoured, he just walks back. And during all of that time, Cuz has a great engage, and Baker cleans up the nice kick you mentioned. It's just... you know, what can you do as Harmon Life Esports? You've kind of passed your prime with this composition in a lot of ways.
The problem is it never gets better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already bad, but there's not much upside.
No, there really
is. That's the thing that really sucks. Yeah.
And so, you know, we'll watch this one more time, but watch Teddy, right? The paranoia gets popped. He dodges the solar flare. And then look at Teddy. He's already collapsed onto. Look at what's happening throughout the fight while Teddy almost dies. He's actually totally fine, though. This is one of those moments where, like, what does your Nocturne do? If you don't dive onto Teddy with a Nocturne, are you trying to help front to back? You can't really do that either. And T1 are just too ahead. Their items are too good. Teddy is way too fed. You know, you can't blow up the 80 carry for free. Then what is your function? Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot. I mean, you're blinding everybody, I guess.
Yeah, the thing that's so hard, right, is Harmon Life Esports, they chose to pick Nocturne instead of picking away the Tahm Kench.
Yeah.
And I think that decision is coming back to bite them because Carrier's Tahm Kench has just bought enough time to deny the dive. And so T1 walks out after all of the ultimates are pressed, and then they find themselves exactly what they want afterwards. Johan's dead, real dead.
And I don't even want to oversimplify this in terms of the draft, too, because, like, yeah, the draft could have been different. It could have been arguably better for Harmon Life Esports, but the early game play was just by far better for T1. They were one step ahead. They handled the aggression really well. Several great ganks from Cuz.
Yeah.
And they snowballed an early lead extremely well. You know, like what we didn't see Credit Breon do with a similar comp themselves, actually, in that second series. They were still able to win the game, but T1 just grabbed this game by the horns. They had full control from start to finish. And Harmon Life Esports tried to match. They tried to kind of brute force their way into a bottom gank. It didn't work out. Ended up losing kills there. And they just kind of tripped over their shoelaces throughout the early game, whereas T1 played a nearly perfect game. And now we're looking at a 6K gold lead. Every single team fight has gone their way. And this is going to be Johan getting picked once again. Just doesn't have vision, but he's so desperate for any money he can get, and he just gets showstopper right into a wall. Nobody could save him. Deft is like, sorry, bro. Yeah. There's nothing I can do.
There's no way. And, yep, T1 just going to make their way back out onto the map. Looks like Baron going to be up in 10 seconds' time. I was about to say respawning, but it's only spawning for the first time. Here this game because it is still quite early. 20 minutes on the clock. And Earth, Wind, Fire in order.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful.
I mean, Harmon Life Esports, they certainly have not been bringing this game back. I think this would have been the Drake they wanted, but now it just feels like it's more... it's fan of the flames that T1 have already lit. And, I mean... As Harmon Life, you just have to sit back now and hope for an overextension or perhaps somebody being out of position because they still have that long range. They can sleep somebody. They can paranoia in. They have the equalizer. If they can find one single target, it's amazing. But when you don't have vision control, I mean, look at that. 2 control wards blocking out anything. They can't see. They have to go in blind like this with Chobi's teleports.
Well, Vista, he's going to flash on forward. There's going to be a flash out immediately from Teddy, though, as he just goes into the mists. And now, Life Esports, have they overcommitted? Chobi trying to walk out. Vista not going to be so lucky as he looks to try and get out. Faker going to lock down that kill, as now Canna with the hugest shield ever, just chasing Morgan out. It is going to be a decent piercing arrow as Carrier comes on forward with the Lickitung, as you so beautifully put, and he's just going to be swept up. That's a triple for Faker's Lee Sin. Canna's still hunting Morgan, but it looks like TWon are going to turn their eyes towards this Baron, as Chobi, he's trying to tidy up the mess that was made in the mid lane.
Morgan is going to try
that sidestep was actually kind of cute if it was on purpose. Faker looking for the unofficial Quadra, as he is going to get a little bit scared, and Canna says, don't worry, mate, I'll tidy this one up.
The inhibitor is down. There's a little bit of pressure even in the main base right now, as TWon will clean up this Baron, but 6-0 and 5 is Faker on this Lee Sin, but the story of this game, I feel like, has just been the coordination across TWon. The bottom lane was so stable, and in these moments where you all in across the map to try to make something happen. I mean, we saw the teleport forward from Chobi to try to stop asleep. Then you see the Zenith Blade come through, and this is like, I gotta find somebody, anything. But even a Leona is just not going to be able to withstand the amount of items and damage. I mean, you were the one who coined the phrase, hit them with your wallets. T1 certainly are doing that right now. I mean, you all in like that with the Leona, you're hoping that your team has a follow-up, but they don't have the gap closed. They don't have the follow-up. In that moment where you try to come in, yeah, they have the Nocturnal, but you just can't blow somebody up. And if everybody goes in, they all die. And it's a lose-lose situation. It's desperation. This game was over a long time ago. They're just trying.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad that you did, because it does certainly feel like a bit of a Life Esports circling the drain situation, as that is going to be the Infernal Drake taken. Only one more, and then T1 can get themselves the Infernal Soul, but I'm not entirely sure whether this game is going to last another 4 minutes and 45 seconds, as T1 with their Baron buff pushing down this bottom lane. Mid lane already sorted. The Brambleback now being taken, as there's the Paranoia looking for a bit of a fight here onto Canna, as Johan walks into an Abyssal Voyage, and yeah, he puts down the Equalizer, but that's just Pineapples standing in a row. That is not doing enough damage whatsoever.
And can you blame Morgan for being so passive throughout the mid-game in this game when he's so far behind, and when you do try to make those plays, when you do try to paranoia in, everybody jumps on top of you like you're a bleeding fish and they're a bunch of piranhas. I mean,
Yeah.
T1 just crush him instantly. He has
Yeah,
to
that
back
was
off.
a lot of damage. That was a Dawning Shadow just to soften up the members of Life Esports, and it's done exactly that. Underneath Nexus turrets now as Morgan goes golden. Teddy's going to be able to lock down the kill on his opposite number 3 already. As Chobi, the last man standing. Morgan, I believe, actually fell down there as well, so make that one 4. I told a lie. Nope, never mind. Just respawning is Johan. And T1, Faker on the fountain will be taken down, but the Nexus will follow suit, and a very convincing 2-0 from T1, reinvigorated in summer.
T1 looking very good to start here against Life Esports. This is one of the matchups of this week we were most excited for. This is one of those matchups you felt like, okay, this is going to be a fantastic one. It should be close. Maybe